Mexico is somewhere that I've never been before, and quite honestly, I don't know that much about it. However, we will be talking about Mexico because inside this box, I have a pair of football boots that are dedicated and inspired by South Mexico City. Part of the new Nike FC pack, I have the Nike Mercurial Superfly 7 Elite Turf in the Nike FC South Mexico City pack, bearing a retail price of $185. I feel like I said Mexico like 18 times in that intro. Now, I'm sure a bunch of you have seen the boots Lozano has been wearing that feature this exact same pattern. They're not turf versions of a Superfly, they're actually Vapor 13 Elites, and unfortunately, it doesn't look like those are actually going to release to the public, but he's been made the face of this particular pack, and given that they look super cool, and a lot of you guys have asked me to review more turf boots on the channel, I figured this would be a good one to go over. So we're gonna go over all the details, including how they fit and feel on feet. So if you're interested in learning more, please stick around, watch the entire review, and if you're interested in a pair of these for yourself, there's a men's as well as a youth variation, but only in the turf outsole, no indoors, no FGs, no soft grounds. For those that are wondering, you can click the first link down below. That's going to take you to the review page on my website, where you'll find buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes, where you'll be able to pick these up below their normal $185 retail price, which is a $10 premium over a normal colorway of this football boot. As always, if you guys do end up enjoying this video and want to see more indoor and turf boot reviews on the channel, don't forget to support this one with a like and let me know specifically what you'd like to see down below in the comment section. And of course, if you're new here watching for the first time and don't want to miss out on weekly content on everything football boots, make sure you hit that subscribe button along with the little bell notification so you get notified when the next new video goes live. As for the design, especially considering that this is a limited edition release, they look very different from any other Mercurial colorway that we had in 2020, and there were a lot of them. The graphics and colors are inspired by South Mexico City and the 1970 World Cup, which is why it has this kind of retro, almost graffiti style look to it that I'm personally a big fan of. It basically just says Nike FC repeating, and then the colors kind of just gradually shift as you go through the entire upper, but it really does have a cool look. And for those wondering what Nike FC is, it is technically their lifestyle line of sportswear. We don't often see actual football boots with Nike FC branding, but it looks like Nike might be trying to make that a thing moving forward. You can see the Nike swoosh has this really cool kind of 3D effect to the graphic as far as the outline is concerned, and some really nice little detail within the blue that I think looks quite good. You have the same thing going on with the smaller kind of orangey swoosh here on the medial side. The Nike FC branding featuring all the colors on the back of the heel, which also looks quite nice. The Mexico branding on the front of the collar, and even the little detail of the white on the inside of the top rim of the collar I think is quite nice. You have the blue and orange making up the turf outsole, split up really nicely, and then the insole does also feature a little bit of extra detail where you can see it is blue in color, and then it actually has all of the info here in Spanish. I don't read Spanish, so I'm sure someone will translate it for me in the comment section. As for the boots themselves, they are top-end Superflies and the quality is as you would expect it to be, but the name is a little bit deceptive because this is technically a Superfly 7, but this is not the Superfly 7 upper that you're gonna find on the regular FG or soft ground or even AG Superfly 7 Elite. Instead, what you get here is a modified variation of the Superfly 6 upper, which is basically what we had from the previous generation Superfly 6 indoor and turf line. And given that these are $175 or $185 for a limited edition colorway, while they're not bad, it is a bit of a shame that they didn't give us the proper upper. Nonetheless, the upper is still quite thin and it's going to provide that sock-like sensation for you. I will say that this feels really structured through the midfoot, and internally it does have a different liner that actually has a little bit of kind of softness to it. It's slightly fuzzy rather than the smooth kind of synthetic material that we're used to seeing in the liner of a Superfly 6. So that is a little bit different with this particular boot, although it is a very subtle difference that only really hardcore boot nerds are even going to notice. Now, of course, with this colorway, unlike some of the more normal ones, pretty much the entire Flyknit upper is covered in a Nike skin in the top layer, so you can see, of course, the pattern printed on, but there are these little cutouts across the top of the forefoot and toe box area that you would think are maybe vents or something like that, but there is no air that's going to be able to pass through those, so it's really just there for the sake of looks, and you don't really notice it on this particular colorway. Kind of an unnecessary design element, if I'm being completely honest. Laces run directly down the middle, as you'd find on any version of, I guess, a recent Superfly model. Obviously a one-piece upper construction as well that does flow into a mid-cut collar. For their top-end indoor Mercurials, they only make it in a Superfly variant. You cannot get a low-cut vapor, whether it's this colorway or any of the other ones. So something to keep in mind. I guess it allows them to charge a little bit more if you really want a top-end indoor Mercurial. The collar is entirely made out of a Flyknit, super stretchy, very similar to what we had on the Superfly 6. And then at the back, you will find an internal plastic heel counter that is shaped quite nicely. It does give you an overall very Mercurial-esque fit. Then you will, of course, find that the heel liner is made from this soft, kind of synthetic microfiber type material, a decent amount of padding, again, very similar to regular Mercurial models. And then the insole, because this is the turf version as well, is a little bit different than what you'll find on the FG boots in that it does have this soft kind of mesh liner on the surface. I'm not sure if it's technically Nike grip. It feels quite smooth to me, so I don't think there's anything special going on. And then the insole is a thicker layer of this red kind of ortholite style foam that's there basically to provide, I would say, a significant amount of the underfoot cushioning that you're gonna get out of these turf boots. Oh, and they also have ACC technology. As far as the midsole and outsole is concerned, obviously there is no visible foam along the side of the boot, but there is foam that runs from the heel and then tapers into the midfoot, where the forefoot and toe box area pretty much is just straight rubber from the outsole and then a little bit of cushion you get from the foam insole. But the foam is definitely thickest at the heel. It is internally contained, which is why you can't see it. And it's there to lift your heel ever so slightly, which is not abnormal for any turf shoe, and provide that little bit of additional cushion that you may or may not want depending on what your preferences are. Nonetheless, they end up feeling very low profile when they're on feet, and they do have that kind of signature Mercurial fit, which is extremely important for a boot like this, especially given the price tag. And then as far as the turf outsole is concerned, again, they do normally make an indoor version, but not in this specific colorway. You'll notice that it has all of these rectangular nubs that kind of flow across the entire bottom of the foot. It is an above average turf outsole as far as its aggressiveness is concerned, but in general, what I've always found with turf boots is no matter what the specific pattern is, they end up providing very similar traction pretty much no matter what. So as long as you're using them on turf, traction is going to be exactly what you'd expect it to be. Good enough, basically. And just to clarify a little bit, because I do always get questions about what turf boots are actually for, this is technically for the older style of turf, that more rough carpet material, which has very little depth to it. That's where this, I think, is going to be ideal in terms of overall performance. With that said, can you use this on more modern artificial grass with more depth to it, maybe even the little rubber pellets? Absolutely you can. It's just not going to provide the bite of something like an FG or more ideally an AG stud pattern, because there's not really much digging in to a deeper surface. You can also use it on natural grass, but again, traction is going to be less than ideal, especially if it's wet. And then as far as indoor use is concerned, the nubs are quite long on this one and the rubber is relatively firm. Traction on an indoor court is not going to be great, and you're going to wear down the nubs maybe a little bit more quickly than you'd like. But in general, if you really wanted one pair of boots to wear on any surface whatsoever and you didn't mind about wearing down the nubs or really having ideal traction, then a turf shoe over pretty much anything else would probably be your best bet. And then there's the weight, and I think you guys are gonna be a little bit surprised by this one because these are not very light. Reason being, this rubber outsole is very thick, and rubber in general is not a very lightweight material. So in a size 9.5 US, you can see that these weigh in at 10.7 ounces, the equivalent of 303 grams, which if we're comparing this to the FG version of the Superfly 7 Elite, the top end model, that granted does retail for significantly more. These are basically 100 grams heavier, which is a significant amount of weight. They still have that signature tight Mercurial fit, so because of that, they'll inevitably end up feeling lighter than most turf shoes. But if you're just after what is physically the lightest turf model, this isn't technically it, especially considering the price tag. That is a little bit disappointing. So here they are on feet, and I do think that this colorway looks absolutely fantastic. It really is a shame that they're not going to release the top-end Superfly or Vapor football boot version of this. Nonetheless, these do feel distinctly Mercurial in terms of how they wrap your foot very tightly. Do they feel like the current Superfly 7 Elite FG boots though? Not really. This upper, like I said, is taken from the previous generation Superfly 6, and it feels a lot like that, which in comparison to the current generation is a little bit stiffer, a little bit more, I don't want to say plasticky, but there definitely is more reinforcement through the midfoot with internal liners versus what you have now, where it's more dependent on what they're calling high tenacity yarn. There's more knit structure rather than kind of added plastics as a structure element, which is what's happening here. Nonetheless, they still fit really nicely and have that signature tight Mercurial fit. The underfoot cushioning from the midsole is definitely there, more noticeable through the heel for sure, but still feels nice and low profile, so they're not super high off the ground, which can be an issue with some turf shoes. A lot of people don't like that. And out of the box comfort is pretty decent. Like a lot of mid-cut boots, it does take a little bit of getting used to, especially if you've never worn one before, but at this point, I don't feel like there's many people like that, so you kind of know what to expect there. And then as far as overall width is concerned, they are tight-fitting boots, especially through the forefoot and toe box area. They're definitely tighter than the regular Mercurials that are currently available as FG variations. So if you have wide feet, I don't think these are gonna be a great option for you, but if you've worn Mercurials in the past and you like the way that they feel, you shouldn't have too many issues with these. And then as far as sizing is concerned, I'm wearing these in my usual size 9.5 US, and the fit and the length is perfect. So if you're looking to order a pair for yourself, I would strongly recommend going true to size. Also, you may have noticed that I am wearing them with some black Pure Grip socks, which are the most affordable grip socks on the market. They're available in a wide variety of colors for just $14.99 a pair. All available at puregripsocks.com. So if you're interested in some for yourself, there will be a link to that down below in the description. So in conclusion, should you buy the top-end turf version of the Superfly 7 Elite? And I think the answer to that question depends on what you're actually looking for. This colorway is great. If you're a fan of the colorway and you're a fan of Mercurials, I don't think you're gonna find another turf boot that you're gonna like more than these. And that's really the general recommendation that I would give. If you just want something that feels like a pair of top-end Mercurials, this is absolutely the indoor boot that you should buy. With that said, if you don't necessarily need to have something that feels like a Mercurial, then I would definitely look elsewhere, save a lot of money, and you could get something that is equally as good, if not better. I'm not saying that these are bad by any means at all, but for $175 to $185, it's basically one of the most expensive turf boots that you can buy right now, and there's nothing about it really other than the fit that I think stands out against other options that you can buy for less money. Anyways guys, that's it for my review. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to support it with a like. Again, if you're interested in a pair of these for yourself, either the men's or youth variation, you can click the first link down below. That's gonna take you to the review page on my website, where you'll find buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes to pick these up below their normal retail price. If you have any questions, as always, feel free to ask them down below in the comment section, and I'll do my best to get an answer out to you. If you aren't subscribed to the channel already, make sure you hit that subscribe button along with the little bell notification so you get notified when the next new video goes live. You can find all my social media information linked down below in the description as well. And other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.